Oh, hello. Welcome to the Daily Grind. I was just enjoying some light reading.
Uh,
Upside down. I guess it's not funny if you can't see the
not that
gag.
way. Yeah,
It
not
doesn't
that way.
matter if you
You're
can't
not.
see it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Daily Grind. Happy Tuesday, friends and family, if we're related. I am joined by Uncle Buck today. We flipped you in buckets. I got my buddy, my guy. How are you, sir, on
What's
this
up,
beautiful Tuesday?
man? Hey, it's a great day to be alive here in North Mississippi. But
Yeah.
yeah, glad to be back. I missed kind of starting the week off with you yesterday, but certain work circumstances couldn't be avoided this time. So appreciate Rusty helping me out yesterday, and I'm sorry that everybody else had to watch to get your week started off like that.
Hey, you know what? We're gonna make up for it today.
Yeah, we're
You,
gonna.
you know, we're gonna make up for it. We're gonna just get everybody ready for the finals. You know, the finals. We get basketball in 2 days. It's been a while
I
since we've
know.
not had basketball. It's been weird. I felt like I've been
Yeah.
watching a lot of. I felt like you and buckets. I've been watching a lot of college baseball, and it just
Oh,
feels
really?
weird. Yeah, it's been on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it feels like we haven't watched basketball in 6 months, but I
Yeah,
feel like it's you know you kind of need that reset every once in a while. It's like the All-Star break. It is still an
yeah,
82 game season with a really long stretch of playoffs for the end. And so the break here in the middle kind of it gets me excited again. I feel like it's just built the anticipation, made me realize what I've taken for granted for the last 4 and 5 months.
it's a
So
good way to put it.
yeah,
That's a really good way to put it because you spend like just having a week
every
off.
night.
You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, just having a week
Right.
off. You're like, oh man, I love this sport. I really like it.
Right.
Well, I'm excited for the finals. There's so many good storylines. We previewed some of them last week. There's so many good players. I just wanted to take today's show. We're just going to go through. They always, the old adage is often like best player on the court's going to win. I
Right.
think that's an interesting case here because even though I think as we go through the players that are playing, I think Dallas might have the best player on the court, maybe two of the top three. But after that, I just think it's really interesting to see where these players rank and
Right.
who's got the numbers game, really.
Right. I say on our show all the time that you've got to have the best player on the court to win a game.
Yeah.
Uh, and that especially is true for Dallas
Yes.
because Luka at his best takes over, and he takes over in the clutch moments. It's what kind of Jason Tatum has always had that reputation of kind of being there, kind of not. Doesn't really take over the games when it
Mhm.
matters in the tough situations. You wonder who's the alpha, him or Jaylen Brown. You don't worry about that with Dallas. Like that's Luka's team, and Luka is going to take over, and he's not timid at all. They're going to win or lose with Luka.
Yeah, man, and honestly, like that speaks volumes to Kyrie Irving, who left a
Right,
team because he didn't want to be a second fiddle, left the greatest
right,
player of all time, and now he's doing that. Like it's like you said, it's just Luka's team. Kyrie, there's no disillusion. I mean, there's plenty of disillusionment in Kyrie's head,
yeah.
probably,
I mean,
but there's none
not
about
basketball.
about basketball, and it's
Right.
really great to see. Are we? I think we're both in the same camp. Luka's the best player on the court, right? Like he's going to be
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I 100% agree with that. I believe that Jason Tatum can. I mean, if he wins this series, he's always been like the fifth best player in basketball at most. Like he's got a hard ceiling. Nobody's willing to put him above any of the foreigners. If I'm being honest with you, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, the true
Luka,
blue.
Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. Nobody's wanting to put him above that. And I think it's because of this perception that we have of him that he's regular season good, But
Yeah.
if he goes and wins this year, I mean, he may be betting odds favorite to win MVP next year because now our mindset has kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's like clicked. I
Right.
do think Tatum's the second best player in the series. I think I would put him above Kyrie. I know Kyrie's great, but to me, I would do Luka, Tatum, and then Kyrie.
Yeah. Best, most important. He's obviously he's
Most
no
important
doubt
is a
the
good way.
second most important player
Yeah, that's a good way to look at
on
this. Most important.
in the series. And I think he's probably the second best player talent wise. But I mean, it kind of always goes back to what you're getting out of him, you know.
Yeah.
And also Jaylen Brown. I mean, I would take for Jaylen Brown because he is always there. He is that dog at all times. He may not be able to dribble, but he is an alpha.
Yes.
That's when Jason Tatum has all the tools and he is everything that you want out of a basketball player. When he does come up short, it's never Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's always there to pick up the slack.
Well, yeah, and I think that's. I mean, he won the Eastern Conference. He won the Eastern Conference MVP, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. You know, like he's good, and he never. He always is going to have his foot to the gas. You know, which is that team needs that because it's not going to be Tatum. It's like you said, Tatum doesn't really have that in him. It doesn't seem.
Yeah, but this is the time where you allow people to rewrite the narrative of themselves. You know, Luka and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kyrie, they all have these preconceived notions about him. Everybody's got their ideas about him, and this is the time where you change it. If Kyrie wants to leave behind the "I'm a bad teammate" idea that we have of him based on what happened in Cleveland and Boston and Brooklyn, then he can change that right now. Now, he may have already changed it already, but if Jason Tatum wants to prove that he's a big game guy that we don't quite believe that he is, then he can prove it right now. That's what the NBA Finals are for.
Yep.
You know, I heard it. The best way I heard it this week was this is your opportunity to change the way that you're introduced the rest of your life.
It's a really good way to put it.
For somebody, they're going to be like NBA champion Jaylen Brown or NBA champion Luka Doncic, you know?
Yeah. Two-time NBA champion Kyrie Irving. Oh, God, Max. Yeah. I was going to say good segue into the fifth best player, but nope, you botched it. It's not Maxi Kleber. So we're in agreement that those are the four best guys.
Yes.
Who's the fifth best player that's going to be in this series?
Well, if Boston's going to win, it needs to be Porzingis. You know?
Yep, I agree.
Do we have a report on him yet?
I haven't. I think Joe Maz said he was looking good. I think they're being about as
coy,
as they can be.
You know, it may be one of those things where they know he's not going to play, but they want you to prepare for him, or they may know that he's going to go game number one, and you don't want to, assume that.
Either way, if you know if he's going or if he's going or not, you don't want to give Dallas 2 days to plan for that.
Right. I get it. I get it. Yeah, I kind of think that's overblown. I think your professional basketball players with professional coaches, they're going to have a plan one way or the other. Yeah, just tell us what's going on. Like, this isn't the CIA here. It's like we've gotten into like hockey injuries where they're like, he's out 6 months with lower body injury. Like,
and you're like what?
Yeah, give us something here.
I don't care. I like. You think Jason Kidd is going to plan for you either way, brother? Just tell us if he's playing or not. Like, I just want to know.
And let's not pretend that Jason Kidd does not have a knowledge of, or the Dallas Mavericks don't have a pretty impressive knowledge of what Kristaps Porzingis can do. He played there.
That's a good point. Like in all the shuffle of Kyrie going back to Boston, I think people are forgetting that Kristaps played for Dallas and didn't like Luka. Right. They weren't close, I guess.
Right. No, despite their Eastern European connection, I think they hated each other pretty well.
Bingo. I mean, after Kristaps too, it's like I've got Boston with the next two best guys. Give me Derek White and Drew Holiday. That's who
I love Drew Holiday.
I love both those dudes. Both those dudes. Holiday's like. He's one of those dudes that I think we've all liked since he's been in the league, and we've liked him on every team he's been on, and he just is
just a perfect role player.
Yes, and he reads the assignment every day, knows what he's there for, and doesn't try to do. His game, which is his bag, is so vast and deep. He doesn't do anything that's outside of his bag. Like he's not going to try to win a game by doing something he's not good at. He's gonna beat your ass by the stuff that he spent a decade in the league perfecting. Like the dude is a
Right.
consummate professional. He plays hard. Between him and Derek White, like Luka's going to have his handful. He's going to have his hands
Right.
full.
Yeah. And and Drew he's not like the tallest guard in the world, but he's built like a brick house. You know what I'm saying?
Strong.
He's hard to knock over. And
Yeah.
so if you wanted a guy that could in spurts, I don't think he could do it full time, but could be physical with Luka. I don't think that Drew is like a bad option.
No.
I think I would probably go, Derek White's bigger, if you really get desperate, throw Horford at you and, let him bang for a few minutes,
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to have to get to number 8, I would say, before you start maybe thinking about another Dallas player.
Who is the next Dallas player you're thinking of? PJ Washington or?
Yeah, I would put PJ Washington.
Yeah. Not Maxi Kleber?
Not Maxi Kleber. And I love him. I love that dude. But God. It's interesting though, because then it's like I would do PJ Washington and then maybe Al Horford as your 8 and your 9. Maybe. Yeah. But then I'm doing Dallas guys. Then I'm like Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Derek Jones. I'm doing those 3 before I get to Pritchard and any of those guys.
There's no doubt that Dallas is put together better.
Yes,
Brad Stevens is incredible what he does. Their first 9 guys would line up with anybody in the NBA except for maybe Phoenix. Their top 8 guys. When you can roll out a top 3 of Durant, Booker, and Beal. That's pretty impressive. It didn't matter, but Boston's very deep, and they don't have many players that suck.
Yeah. That's
Dallas is put together. Has got a bunch of cast-offs. You got Derek Jones Jr., who's been a floater for a long time, and
Maxi Kleber.
I mean,
we've talked about him way too much today.
Kleber,
We've talked about him way too much.
I'm just throwing out the random guy.
Yeah, well, and that's what the finals are about. The finals are about a random guy beating you on some nights. Right. And like I'm excited to see is PJ going to have another series like he did against OKC? Is Big Al going to have a career resurgence after they play? He put a lot of miles on him, but like I'm excited to see after the top 4 guys, after Kyrie, after Luka, after Tatum, after Brown. I'm excited to see what this series has. I think there's going to be a lot of really good matchups, really good stories, really good basketball just to be played.
Yeah. I think that this is a long series.
Yes.
And in a long series, especially, it seems like you've always got one shot by one of your others that has to go in that decides it. And if you tell me Al Horford hits a huge shot in game number 3, I would be like, yeah, I'd buy that. He's a 15-year NBA veteran who's good at everything and doesn't stink at anything. It makes sense. And so if you're talking about role players that are going to decide the game, then I think Boston's going to take the series.
Yep.
I tend to. Have you given a prediction yet?
Yes, I was going to ask you. So Rusty said Dallas in 6. I said Boston in 7. Who do you got? Who you think?
I tend to, I'm torn. I do think it's a long series. If it's not a long series, I think Boston beats them. I think that the best player in the matchup is Luka.
Yeah.
I kind of just think Boston wins in 7 because of the depth, because they've been here before. They've played in the finals. They went 6 games in the finals to who did they lose to? Golden State. A couple years ago, 3 years ago. So I kind of think Boston in 7, but I mean, it's just kind of up in the air. I'm honestly surprised if you've looked at the betting odds. The series, according to FanDuel, Boston is minus 220 to win the series.
Damn.
Yeah, which is pretty high, I would think. Dallas is plus 154. And if you think that Dallas is going to upset, you can get Kyrie Irving MVP odds at plus 2,000.
Ooh, that's a little tasty.
Yeah, I mean that's big odds for a guy who came up huge in an NBA Finals before.
Who's been there before?
He hit the biggest shot in NBA Finals in the last 10, 15 years, I would say.
No, no question. Yeah. Interesting.
The shot. Yeah.
This show isn't about betting, but if you want to make some money, listen to that. That's good. I like that. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to quit talking about the finals. Going to talk about the Grizzlies. We got some guys making money, not doing anything that we need to talk about. But right after this break.
Speaking of getting rid of toxins, Kenny Stubblefield, David Jones.
Oh, wow.
I mean, depending on who you look at it. He may be a toxin to University of Memphis. The University of Memphis might be a toxin to him. In a very dramatic fashion, David Jones decided he will be taking this challenge to the NBA. At around 10:55, man, it started feeling a little bleak. I text you. I said, Kenny, is there any hope?
I mean, he kind of the writing's been on the wall, right? Like, yeah. I mean, he said it to the Daily Memphians, Drew Hill at the combine. If I get all
any inclination that I can get,
think at me the right way, I'll stay in the game.
You only have a very short window of time. I think that window is very small. I think you can get caught up in just becoming an amateur basketball player, and you can lose that window of opportunity.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
This has turned into unrealistic expectations for teams. Not every team is ready to win a championship. There are steps you got to take to put yourself in position to win it. And I thought that what they had done in Cleveland had become a team that was muddled in nothing. And JB, I thought they created a little bit of a culture. You were able to find a star player. I think it's tough. I go back to what happened with Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. I mean, you got the second best record in the NBA, and they say, well, we don't know if you're the one to get us over the top. Yeah, but the guy you bring in is only 5-6 games over 500 from that point on. You would hope that realistic expectations start to come back into the fold, other than these unrealistic things that it's going to happen. Winning a championship happens just like that, because it doesn't that way at all.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind. Man, people that talk
it sounds like slam poetry you're doing over here.
Oh yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I hated that. That's too much. There's too much space between those words. You can drive a train through that. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. That's a new commercial, and I was ready for it that time. You can catch those shows over at bluffcitymedia.co. Hell yeah. All right, back to our show. There's still someone on this team named Ziaire Williams.
Yeah, he still exists.
He still exists. I titled the episode "Reply Hazy, Try Again." That's one of the Magic 8-Ball answers, because I don't know what's going to happen with Z. I don't know who wants him. I know he's making over $6 million this coming year, and I just don't know. It's his fourth year. I think it's his final shot, if it even is a shot. I don't know if he's going to get much of a shot. I just don't know. He might the fact that he's making $6 million is a little it breaks my brain a little bit, because that's a lot of money for a guy that hasn't done much to elicit confidence.
Right. That's his rookie contract. When you get picked the 10th pick of the draft, you get a 4-year deal, and it's pretty lucrative. I think it was about $15 million. Yep. I think he made $4 million his first 4 years. Maybe it's $20 million, but $6 million in his last year of his deal, and this is it. I think he's a restricted free agent going into next offseason. Yeah. Just part of that rookie scale contract. And so it's put up or shut up time. Most of the time when you get into a contract year, you get the full experience of that person.
Yeah.
It's contract year. You're playing for your next contract. You're not comfortable. And especially when you're in a position like Ziaire is, to where after his rookie season ended, you thought that he was going to be the number 4 guy for you to go along with Josh, Jaren, and Desmond. Turns out he's been like the number 14 guy since then.
Man,
And
which is
so
crazy. Like that,
he
his rookie
did.
year, man.
He was getting big playoff minutes, starting games in the playoffs against
Golden State.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, excuse me, trajectory through the roof for Ziaire Williams. He's got the build. They just don't make 6'9" wings that can shoot. And we had one of those, and he was ours, and it was working until it didn't. And I know it's hard. The NBA is hard. Teams play and game plan against you. It's not just one way. It's not just you planning for the other team, but they also plan for you. And that was something that they tried to take away, and he has not been able to course correct. They figured him out, and he hasn't been able to come at it from a different angle. And that's what the great players do. Shoot, that's what the good players have to do. And he just hasn't been able to figure that out. And so, yeah, he is on the chopping block. And so we're going to see what we get from him. I do think that he is a good candidate for a second draft. When there's going to be GMs that really want to take their cut at him because, like I said, he's a 6'9" wing with a long wingspan that can shoot pretty well and finish lobs. I don't understand why it doesn't work, but he just hasn't figured it out yet.
Well, man, and he's had trouble staying healthy too, unfortunately. He's had 2 seasons that have kind of ended not ideally for him, and that's got to be tough from a confidence standpoint when you are in the playoffs and you are contributing to not to going to do none of that, and it's going to be tough for the kid when he's making $6 million and you have Gigi and Vince combined making less than 4.
Well, and I think that's going to be what the nail in the coffin is he's kind of fighting from behind a little bit because he's gotten replaced by people that are cheaper. Going into next season, the Grizzlies are going to go from one of the smallest salary teams to the 8th largest salary pool in the NBA. And so you got to think Ziaire Williams is going to have to earn his money, but if he doesn't earn his money, he may be beneficial just for cheap. He's a guy that you have that that is cheap. And so I don't really know where to fit in. There's a reason why Zach Kleiman makes a lot of money because he's got to iron this stuff out. I just think that his NBA career is not going to be over if he's not good this year because of just his size and his smarts. He's one of those guys that's also that the Grizzlies love, like Jaren and Gigi. Coming out of the draft, he was the youngest player in the draft that year,
which is crazy.
And so his book is not written. And that's why I know Rusty on our show, when we were in the doldrums of the season and everybody was bad and everybody sucked and the Grizzlies suck and just life sucks, just ship off Ziaire. And I'm just kind of like, he is the one guy that if I'm a team that's looking at the Grizzlies roster and I'm picking between Ziaire, LaRavia, Conchar, one of these guys, I'm probably taking Ziaire just because of the upside.
Yeah. And that's the thing with him. I would assume that he still offers upside to some GMs. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that if I were him and if I were Giddy making $6 million each, I'd be worried. Because one of those dudes is going to be gone. One of those dudes, I think, is going to be gone. They're making, it's like you said, with all the new CBA stuff, one of those dudes is going to be kept on the cheap. I don't know who it's going to, probably it's because of upside and because most likely he's not going to demand a 3-year, $20 million deal after this contract like Giddy did. I don't know.
Right. And Giddy just did everything,
Yes. Yeah. I think that as much interest as it can draw, I think figuring out, don't get choked up, buddy. It's going to be okay. Figuring out who's going to still be on the team, Jake LaRavia or Z or John Conchar. I think that's going to be a little kind of a fun little battle to watch play out as the offseason continues.
just thinking of players that may leave the Grizzlies just gets me all emotional. But I'm also
Yeah, I
in
know,
a
man.
sneezing fit over here. Just excuse me.
I saw you. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Do you need a
Yeah.
spotter or a teammate?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
This
We're
is
going
my
to take
flu game.
this is your flu game.
Yeah.
We are going to take one more break. And when we get back, we are going to tube a little bit. It is Tuesday. On Tuesday, we tube. Yeah, after this break. And also, spoiler alert, this commercial may look familiar, but enjoy.
Speaking of getting rid of toxins, Kenny Stubblefield, David Jones.
Oh, wow.
Nah, I don't. I mean, depending on who you look at it, you know, he may be a toxin to University of Memphis. The University of Memphis might be a toxin to him. In a very dramatic fashion, David Jones decided he will be taking this talent to the NBA. At around 10:55, man, it started feeling a little bleak. You know, I text you. I said, Kenny, is there any hope?
I mean, he kind of the writing's been on the wall, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he said it to the Daily Memphians, Drew Hill at the combine. If I get all you
Any inclination that I can get, yeah.
think at me the right way, I'll stay in the game.
No, you only have a very short window of time. I think that window is very small. I think you can get caught up in just becoming an amateur basketball player, and you can lose that window of opportunity.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
This has turned into unrealistic expectations for teams. Not every team is ready to win a championship. There are steps you got to take to put yourself in position to win it. And I thought that what they had done in Cleveland had become a team that was muddled in nothing. And JB, I thought they created a little bit of a culture. You were able to find a star player. I think it's tough. I go back to what happened with Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. I mean, you got the second best record in the NBA, and they say, well, we don't know if you're the one to get us over the top. Yeah, but the guy you bring in is only 5-6 games over 500 from that point on. You would hope that realistic expectations start to come back into the fold, other than these unrealistic things that it's going to happen. Winning a championship happens just like that, because it doesn't that way at all.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Back. Like a chicken. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. That's what chickens sound like. This is the second time you've seen that commercial, but you can catch all those shows. You can catch the $2 Sports Show. You can catch the Grizz 901 show. That's tonight, every Tuesday, 901. We got a whole lot of stuff, really covering all Memphis sports, not just Grizzlies. Like basketball season's almost over. We could only have 4 games left if this is a sweep. Like there's other stuff we got to cover,
Right.
and we're covering it. But enough about sports. It's time to tube because it's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays we tube. It's the day of the show, day of the week, the part of the show where we talk about what we're watching. It doesn't have to be sports. Mine's not sports related. Can be sports related. Like if the Masters are on, I know we're watching a lot of golf, baseball, dealer's choice.
Yeah.
I can go first. In anticipation for the new Deadpool Wolverine movie.
I can't wait for that.
Man, I rewatched Deadpool 1 last night.
Yeah.
It's so funny and violent.
It
and
is.
It's just so good. I'd forgotten how funny it was. And I was just like, I was cackling and I just forget like every one of his lines, just like, you look like an avocado had sex with an older, nastier avocado. It's just like really funny. just gross.
It's right up my alley because
Yes.
I am all about just like stupid stuff. Like,
Yep.
One of my favorite movies growing up was Airplane. You ever
is
watch
great.
Airplane? Yeah, it's hysterical.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Yeah. You ever been in a cockpit before? You got a drinking problem. He's got a drinking problem, but it's not that he drinks too much; that he can't get the liquid to his mouth. I mean, it's the dumbest
so
movie ever.
stupid.
It's
It's
right
so
up my alley, and so I love witty one-line banters. And it's perfect. And I cannot. I mean, I even got so much enjoyment out of just watching Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman go at each other on this fake beef that they had for years because they wouldn't let Deadpool into the Marvel universe.
It's so good.
And so yeah, I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm excited, and I did rewatch both of them.
I'm gonna watch the second one tonight.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So yeah, I've watched a lot of college baseball this weekend, and that's not just a plug, but it's like it's postseason, and it's exciting. And baseball. We've talked about baseball on our show ad nauseum, just in regards to Major League Baseball, how the season's too long and how stuff doesn't matter, and you can kind of game to game, it's kind of whatever. We're in the postseason, and the way that postseason in college baseball does it is great. It's just basically first round is 4 teams, double elimination, and so everybody's playing each other, and you've gotten some big upsets. You've got a 4 seed, which is the lowest seed in each regional. It's typically the nobody teams that wins the nobody conference. You got Evansville University that
in Indiana
won a regional at East Carolina. Which just happened to be the team that Rusty was mad that Mississippi State didn't host over. Was East Carolina, so I'm sure that just put fuel to the fire. But then Mississippi State goes and gets beaten there in the Charlottesville, Virginia regional. So who cares? I got great pleasure in watching Arkansas lose in their home regional. They were the number 5 seed overall, and then they got beat, and a 3 seed came out of that regional. So I mean, when my team stinks, I'm not a very sympathetic fan. I want to see my friends' teams also get beaten, and so that we can all just kind of hold hands in misery together. And so that, instead of saying, I've lived through a season where Mississippi State won the College World Series, and I had to sit around and listen at Rusty chirp, for a year about how they're defending champions. And so I much prefer us all suck together, and then we just argue over who sucked less. Like Rusty's going to be like, oh, we made it to a regional, and I'm going to be like, oh, you played like 3 more games than my team did, and we were horrible. I just have a lot of fun. No,
I want to watch
with me.
I want to watch the tournament. I want to watch like a tournament where both your teams go out in the first round, and I just get to watch that. It sounds really, really funny to me.
They've set this up in the past where both of our teams were good, where we both hosted regionals. So there's 16 teams that host regionals. They're 8 teams on each side of the bracket. You know how it works.
Yeah.
And they had Ole Miss and Mississippi State paired up for a super regional, which is best 2 out of 3, 2 teams, best 2 out of 3. And it's never worked out that way, but it would have just been awful.
It would have just been awful.
Yeah.
Who you rooting for in the? Who's left? Who you rooting for in it?
I don't really have a rooting interest. I like to see LSU got put out last night by North Carolina. I've always kind of liked the North Carolina colors. They're in the ACC. They don't really like. There's no rub.
We don't interact
between
much.
Ole Miss anything. Yeah. I don't root for SEC schools. There's a lot of people in this neck of the woods that root for the SEC. They like to chant the SEC, but in my opinion, no SEC doing good while Ole Miss doesn't helps Ole Miss. Like I don't care. Like. There's nothing like Tennessee is still in it. I'm rooting for whoever plays Tennessee because, if Tennessee wins it, it helps Ole Miss none. You're competing for the same players. And so it's like, no, just get out of here. Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, all these teams, Florida still left from the SEC. I hope they all lose. So I'm just rooting against them.
Shout out anybody not the SEC. We're gonna take that's it for today's show. I'm dying over here. I want to hear you talk SEC baseball for like weeks. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Thank you, Uncle Buck, for joining me.
Yes, sir.
We will be back tomorrow. Basketball in 2 days. Stay
Yes,
tuned.
sir.
And stay tuned to my show tomorrow. Stay tuned to your show on Friday. We got a whole bunch of stuff. Just have a good week, friends. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Remember 2 things: to be a little weird and remember to smile. Thank you all. I will see you tomorrow.